Welcome everyone. Today we're speaking with Babauta from Zen Habits.
First of all, we'd really like to thank you for participating in the Celebrate Life Summit with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Shawna and I are really thrilled to share your thoughts and insights about simple living with our viewers.
So Leo, you have more than 230,000 viewers of your blog. What made you start the Zen Habits blog?
Yeah, so it was kind of a way to chronicle or do a journal of the changes that I've been going through in my life. I had spent more than a year changing my life like one step at a time, and I really wanted to share all of the things I've been learning. It was really exciting because I had gone through a long period where I wasn't able to make changes. I wasn't able to start exercising or eating better or getting out of debt, simplifying my life, all of these things that I had always wanted to do, but it was so difficult to change. And then when I finally learned a few just like really simple things, I really wanted to share that with other people because it was just, it was life-changing. And so I wanted to journal all of that, and also I was still making changes, and so it was kind of an accountability thing. And also to learn from other people going through the same things. I found that's a really powerful thing when people all share what they're learning and going through, and you learn from each other and motivate each other. And so that's really what Zen Habits was when I started.
Great. The Celebrate Life Summit is about learning to live life simply. It's about deciding to let go of this stuff and really celebrate life. Have you always been a minimalist?
Absolutely not. There are people who I think have lived their entire lives as minimalists, but I'm not one of them. And obviously I'm married and I have 6 kids, and so that's, you might say that's opposite of minimalism. And it's obviously it adds a different level of challenge when you have kids, but also just personally, we used to go shopping just as a pastime, as a way to relieve stress and have fun, and so we would pile up stuff just like everyone else, and then Christmas would come and we'd get tons of stuff and give away tons of stuff, and so it just would accumulate just slowly, just like our debt did, and just like my fat did on my body. It all just kind of gradually adds up. And so minimalism has been for me the extension of when I first started out was just kind of decluttering and trying to live a little more simply, and minimalism has been more of the kind of exploration of where that leads me to, and maybe slightly extreme end of that simplifying range of lifestyles. So
Krystal and I have been slowly letting go of stuff in our families as well, and it's been quite the experience. Can you tell us a little bit more about how doing that has affected your family?
Sure. Yeah, well, first thing is I try not to force them all to do the exact same thing that I want to do. So I try and lead by example, and then just kind of have an ongoing discussion with them. But my wife, it's been kind of great for me to see her going on her own journey. I mean, sometimes we share it, and sometimes she's doing it on her own, and it's really cool to watch that. And so sometimes it's a way to bring the two of us closer together, because we spend time talking about it and going through the experience and growing together. For our kids, it's an ongoing education.
Right.
Let's just say that. But they, I think, have learned a lot from watching us and from just talking about it. And they might bring up things like they'll see some toys that they want to go get, and so there's this urge to get it because they see it and they want it. And so that gives me the opportunity to talk to them about that. And I think, I think that they have a good childhood and a life that's not one of sacrifice or deprivation, but maybe not full of possessions and shopping as much as other kids might have. And so I actually think that's a better childhood. I'm not trying to criticize other parents, but I think, for me, just watching them grow up this way, I think that they will grow up knowing, better prepared for life, and knowing better values, then I think society in general is trying to push on kids and families in general.
Definitely. A lot of people think that living with less means having less fun. What would you say to those people?
I think it's making room for fun, actually. Because I think the thing is having more stuff and also just living a life of consumerism where you're just buying stuff mindlessly, kind of. I think that becomes a burden of debt, a burden of clutter that you have to take care of, and all this stuff that really it's just piled up stuff and procrastination of stuff that you've been meaning to take care of. And so for me, it's this huge burden, and getting rid of it is a relief of that burden. And now I've made space to spend time with my family and read and write and create, go outside and have fun, where you realize you're not locked to your stuff, and you don't need it as a crutch to relieve your stress and to have fun and all of that stuff. So I feel liberated, and we feel like we can have fun anywhere, either alone or together with our family or friends. And so, there's just, it really opens up a life of a lot more fun and freedom and just joyousness, So joyfulness. Yeah, I think it's been a lot better now that I've been liberated of my clutter.
We would agree with you on that, that's for sure. So, what's your number one piece of advice for anyone that really wants to get started on living with less? How should they get started?
I think the key is just to get started. It really doesn't matter where you start, because you're eventually going to move around and do other stuff. So the number one tip is to get started, but if there's something that is making you stop, like maybe you don't have the time, or you're intimidated or overwhelmed by all the stuff that you have to do, then the real key to getting started is to start as small as possible. Just take the tiniest little baby step. And we all know the saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And that's absolutely true. And I would say if that single step is too hard, start with a half step. Start with a quarter step. Just start by moving. And when you start moving, you feel good about it. And then there's momentum that keeps you going. And so I liken it to like when I run. And let's say right now it's a little bit overcast and cold and rainy outside. And so I feel like staying inside and I don't want to run. But if I just get my shoes on, laced up, and I get out the door, as soon as I'm out the door, that momentum keeps going and I feel like running. And I think the same thing is true of simplifying your life, whether it's clutter or reducing your commitments so that you can, have a more relaxed schedule. You just need to make the first tiniest motion, and that could just be having a little pile here right next to you on your desk that you just kind of declutter, just that little tiny space. And then that little space becomes your zone of, simplicity. And you can expand on it until your entire desk is a beautiful, clear, clutter-free zone, and then you can move around the room. But all you had to do was start with that one spot. And so start as small as possible and just get started.
Great. That's good advice. What are some ways that you spend time and not money with your children?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, we like to go to the library. But my wife usually takes them when I'm doing some work. But they go to the library, and so that is time spent together. First of all, we walk and take a bus, and so that's good, getting outside and exercising, and then getting to a place full of books I think is wonderful, and we experience that together. And then just the journey of searching for good books, and to me that's a thrill, that's unmatched by almost anything else. And then you get the book and you take it home and you're excited, and then we either read separately or read together, and none of that costs any money, but it's to me teaching them this lifelong love of learning and reading, and that you don't need to spend money to have fun together. And that's one great thing. I like going outside and playing with them. Sometimes we walk a lot of places, and so we'll race each other, or do different kinds of challenges together. One time I started doing lunges up a hill, a really steep hill, and I said, let's do it all together. And so they started doing lunges, which they don't normally do. I do lunges, but they don't exercise too much. We're going up the hill and we all start groaning because your legs start aching. But it was a lot of fun, you know. I mean, it's just you try and make a game out of all kinds of things, and it doesn't need to cost any money, and it's a good way to bond with your family.
Right. Same question, but what are some of the ways you spend time and not money with your spouse?
Oh, that's a good one. Today, well, we might have spent a little bit of money. Today we went to a class. It was an exercise class with a couple of our friends. One of our friends was a teacher. So we did that class. That cost money, but it was exercise and it was fun, and we spent it together. And then the time after that, we kind of walked home, and it was a good long walk in the rain. But it's a good time to talk and also experience, you know, neighborhoods that we might not have seen otherwise. And I also really love the rain, so it was a really nice walk. We do that every now and then. We'll go do errands or go to the grocery store together. And you know, the groceries what might cost money, but the walk is to me the thing that is the great part. So we do that. We have regular dates together. Sometimes those will cost money, but again, it's just a matter of making regular time for each other, whether that costs money or not. And so to me, really, it's just making that time, and it doesn't really matter what you do.
Yeah, for
as long as you're together. And we talk about the future, and we talk about how things are going, and you know, the different kids and our relationship, and just that's really enjoyable to me.
Cool.
But we also love to work out together. Sometimes we'll run, go on a run, and I've been kind of pushing her to run a little bit further. She always feels good after that's done. And then sometimes we'll do workouts here in the house together, and we have some exercise equipment, and that's always a lot of fun too.
Great.
You have a book in print called The Power of Less. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's about the art of, you know, living simply, both in your business and in your daily life. But really, it was from this idea of placing limits. And I think I got the idea actually from the haiku, which is a 3-line poem, Japanese form of poetry. And it's a real limited form of poetry where you really have to fit an idea, either cut the idea really small or find an image that can convey that idea really powerfully. And that idea of limiting, but within that limits, figuring out what is the most essential, the most powerful, and eliminating all the non-essentials, I thought it was great. And so I started applying that to my daily life. So like for emails, I might check an email only twice a day. And so that limit makes me be more efficient, you know, for checking emails. Or if I send an email, I might only send an email with 5 sentences, which is not my idea, but it's the same kind of thing where if I only have 5 sentences to write in that email, I have to convey the most important things, and I can't just ramble on.
Right.
And I do the same thing. You might limit your possessions to 100 things, or whatever the number is. It really doesn't matter, as long as you're setting a limit, and that limit forces you to choose and to figure out what's important and eliminate the rest. And so that's the whole book, was exploring that idea and how we can apply that to everything.
Wow, very cool.
Mm-hmm. Could you just tell our viewers where they can find you?
Oh, sure. Well, zenhabits.net. I don't have the .com. I'm negotiations to buy it. So zenhabits.net is my main site. If you go to the About page, you'll see more places to find me on Twitter and all that stuff. I have another site called Minimalist, which is mnmlist.com. Okay. And that one I talk it's a little bit more focused on minimalism. And again, if you go to the About page, you'll find places to get some of my other books. I have a bunch of other books that are digital only. Not The Power of Less is the only print book.
Right.
Great.
Okay, well, I would like to just thank you again, Leo. We've just been so thrilled to be able to talk to you about minimalism and living with less, and you're
Well,
the
same
expert
here.
on it, so it's just great to talk to you about that. So thank you again.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I absolutely love talking about this stuff, so thanks for the opportunity to ramble on.
Oh, we do too. It's addicting, isn't it? It's just, wow.
We love it.
Once we started letting go of things, it's just, wow, let's just get rid of this too. It's just great.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing is once you start doing it, it's so exciting that you have to share it with people. That's why you started a blog about it and
Yeah.
do a summit to help other people do
That's
it,
right.
right?
That's right.
Last
So,
year we
yeah,
did a
that's great.
minimalist challenge with our readers, and
Awesome.
it was really kind of cleansing for us because it made us, like you say, accountable, and we went through each one of our rooms and shared, you know, everything we got rid of and showed them before and afters, and you know, some of it was embarrassing how much stuff we had, but it felt really good to get rid of everything.
And I think challenges of all kinds are like one of the best ways to, you know, get started and get motivated, and to do it as a group. Because I think the public accountability of it makes you really motivated to do it and gets you really excited. And it's fun to do it together because it's now not this isolated thing where you're in solitary, alone against these, you know, tremendous forces of the universe.
Yeah.
You know, together as a group, and then you're linked together and you encourage each other. If you feel down, you can get, you know, support from other people, and it becomes this, you know, larger thing, and you're no longer alone. And I think that's great. I think I'm so happy you guys are doing that, and I hope other people are really helped by what you're doing.
Thanks.
Okay, well, you have a good afternoon and evening. It's probably warmer there than it is here. And
It might be
Quite a bit.
It's not too warm right now, but yeah, it's probably a little warmer than where you are.
Yeah.
okay, well, thank you again, Leo. I totally appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank
Really.
you.
All right, have a good one.
Okay.
Bye.